And you know that guy, I forget what other documentary he was involved in, but I thought it was telling. I guess he was a videographer for Channel 11 in Pittsburgh. What was that?
PXI.
PXI, right.
Yeah.
And he was telling somebody from Fox, I guess, National, they kept asking him, what'd you see? He goes, you know what I'm saying? He's sitting at the bumper of the rescue truck going, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, just a hole.
Yeah, there's charred paper. And here's the thing. When they show you that famous video from overhead, apparently in a helicopter, of the scene, they talk about debris. They talk about debris, a lot about this, as you know, Dominic. But what are you defining as debris? Are we talking about paper? Are we talking about aluminum, you know?
But yeah, there's some paper, and there's what appears, and if you look at a lot of the crash site photos immediately afterwards, like any debris that you see is, if it's not paper, it's all like this metallic silver. It's not gray, it's not blue, which make up the majority of what the airliner is, but it's a highly reflective metallic appearance.
But you're talking about something that would be skin-like, not necessarily anything of substance.
Correct.
All right, now this begs the question. Everybody will say, well, surely that's the plane. But again, it's like, folks, just show me some damn, engines. Don't tell me about the one that bounced, a football field away.
Yeah.
Show me something here. And like I said, we're wasting our time to talk about. Go take a look at other crash sites. You'll never see anything as antiseptic as the one in Shanksville. But here's the thing, and we'll never know, I guess. And I'll just throw this out because it's not fair. It's got to be conjecture on all our parts. But when whatever was shot into that crater was shot, Lord knows what it was made of, and if that isn't necessarily the substance which they found pieces of.
See, one of the guys who was at the crash site, the guy I told you about earlier, John Masley, he took pictures of some of the debris that was there, and he took a picture of one that was it was metallic, and it looked like paint. It had a painted number on it, like a serial number. And I begged this guy for years to give me a copy of this picture, and he wouldn't do it. And that's probably the only reason why I'm naming him now, is because he told me he was gonna give me this so we could get it and we could track it down and find out what it was, because he wanted to know and this and that. And then when it came time, he just got cold feet about the whole ordeal, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." But yeah, it looked like a blue spray-painted stencil on a piece of silver, and he told me he was at the crash site. He had other photos that confirmed that he was there at the site, so I can confirm that,
Well, you raised something else, a question, which comes into common sense and the way people would behave. And I'm just looking back at that first page of the notes that you sent me, and paraphrasing it to a certain extent, it said what you found most troubling, and that you found that it took you 5 minutes to drive from to the crash site from Stoystown Auto Wreckers, and Rollick Scrapyard is less than 100 yards from the crash site.
Correct.
But none of the employees poured out of the Rollick Scrapyard to go find out what happened. Is that correct?
That's. I mean, when I talked to Bob and Doug, and they told me they got there, they said nobody else was out there.
So these guys from 5 minutes away, drive time, get there, and there's nobody that's come out of the scrapyard.
That's their story.
Maybe it was lunchtime.
My theory on that is, I mean, obviously because there was people there, they came outside and they witnessed what I've learned from other witnesses who have confirmed Susan McElwain's story, is that white plane, I mean, it was there at the time of the explosion. I mean, it's not even up for, like, debate at this point, because I've spoken to so many people. It's like Susan sees it approach, and it disappears behind a tree line, and then she sees an explosion. She thought it crashed. 2 other witnesses I talked to, they heard what they described a thud. They went outside. They saw Susan's plane flying above the tree line and noticed the smoke start to rise up underneath it. Then we got Rick Cheney, who's out there at the salt mill. He feels the ground rumble, and he notices people from the mill are running outside, so he goes outside to see what happens. I talked to him on the phone one night for an hour and a half, and up and down, he's like, this wasn't a corporate jet. And he's like, I don't know what it was. He said, I couldn't see, he goes, I couldn't really see the smoke plume or anything like that because of my location. He's like, but I saw the little white plane that was there flying around. He's like, it did a couple loops and then it took off. And like all these people agree that it was there at that moment.
By the way, and I'm just asking because it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody, and I think they have, do you remember what they may have identified that plane as being?
They claim it was a corporate jet, a Falcon 20, a Dassault Falcon 20. Which it was supposed to be piloted by a guy by the name of Yates Gladwell.
All right.
And he apparently is the person who confirmed the quote-unquote crash site to air traffic controllers. But all the witnesses I've spoken to, and they've either seen a small white plane or they've seen another bigger-sized white plane that came several minutes after the explosion, or some of them witnessed both of them. I've shown them pictures, I've talked to them, and like all of them up and down were like, what I saw was not some kind of corporate jet. I would know a corporate jet. What I witnessed was it was military. I don't know what it was, but I can tell you when you see a plane and you look at it, you know it's a military plane. I saw a military plane.
I don't have it in front of me, and it's been a while now, and I don't have the records, so, shame on me. But there was also a thought that that could have been a drone.
Susan McElwain, that was her belief, and I had that belief. I'm still kind of open to it.
Okay, all right.
But like a couple of the witnesses I spoke to, including Rick Cheney, told me that they noticed that it had a window, the little white plane.
What do you need a window in a drone for?
What's that?
I said, what do you need a window in for a drone?
Exactly. But these same witnesses also insisted that there was no way, like, you were going to put, like, 15, 20 people on board.
Oh, no.
They were like, no, if it had a pilot, and they go, I doubt you could have even had a co-pilot. It was that small.
Well, even in the mainstream accounts, on 9/11, 9/12, that's in mainstream news, there was talk about a white jet. But, now you have to start to think if there was more than just one white jet around. I don't think we have to be necessarily tied to the fact that there was just one.
Oh, no, there was definitely at least two of them.
All right. That's what that makes a little more sense to me because of how, quote, they got around that day.
Yeah. Susan only saw a small one. Bob Blair and Doug Miller, when they got to the crash site, they saw the larger-sized one. And Viola Saylor witnessed both of them.
All right, one more thing about Viola. All right, in her experience that day, she saw a commercial-sized plane. Is that correct?
Correct.
And one or more, nondescript jets.
Yeah.
How many? One or two?
Two.
She saw two jets aside from the commercial airliner.
Correct.